Welcome to a new vlog. Today we are organizing our unique learning system materials. This will be my 4th year doing unique learning system, so I feel like I have a pretty good handle on it. I made these labels at home on my Silhouette Cameo, which is basically like a Cricut. It's kind of like the Android iPhone thing, just a different brand, but it does basically the same function. So I made these, and I'm going to stick them on here. These are bins from Walmart, and I already took the labels off of them. I've got my vinyl on some transfer tape so that I can just easily put it on. If I'm doing a lot of labeling, some years I'll just bring my Cameo here, but in this case, the stuff that I'm labeling isn't really all that important. It's kind of just like a random couple things here and there. Voila, ULS units 1 through 7. I'm going to do the other 3 bins and I'll show you after. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the unique learning system, the unique learning system is a 3-year cycle, and every single year there's 10 different units, and that 10th one is like a summer unit. So I have 4 bins and there's 30 units. 4 does not have a multiple that goes into 30. So I'm going to be honest, I just kind of guessed at which materials that I knew I had hardcover books in and gave that one an extra little slot. So I've got 1 through 7, 8 through 15, 16 through 22, and then 23 through 30. And I'm just going to sort my materials. As I said, it's year 4. So I already have things that are sorted into these little pouches that I got off of Amazon, and I have the number written right here on a card. So like this is 30. So this is the summer unit that I would have taught 2 years ago. Some things have more materials than others because I went through a phase of binders and I went through a phase of these, and so I do have stuff that's still in binders that I am planning on putting back into here once I get around to that unit and I need to go find it. So the unit that I'll be starting in September is unit 11, and that was my very first year of doing the unique learning system, and I printed off all of the books and I did full pages for all of those because I hadn't realized yet what a waste of materials that was, and some of them have the actual binding in it too. So as I got more familiar with the program, I changed my ways, but now I'm just going to show you my preferred way of organizing things, and that includes putting everything in a pouch that goes with that unit. So I'm going to divide everything I've got into my 4 bins right now. I'm not going to show you because my battery is blinking and I need to charge it. So then it looks like this. Some of these are emptier than others because the copy machine was broke for a decent amount of time. And I wasn't going to waste my own money on laminating sheets when I laminate a significant amount for the month. So that's why some of these are kind of empty, and that's okay. I'll just remake them as I get to that unit. So as I said, we start with unit 11 this year. So I would pull out this one, which is the very first unit that I've ever done. I'm going to do a video of me like putting it up here and showing you what I'll be doing for unit 11, so I'm just going to skip that one for now. I thought I would show you unit 13 and unit 12 because these ones are better examples of things that I've made because it wasn't my very first unit doing it. So right here you'll notice these little cards is for the match game. I'd say out of 30 units there's probably 15 that don't have the match game because I sent them home with kids quite often. I learned very quickly though that you need to have a colored background, otherwise the kids can look through it and cheat. And still, even on this yellow, like I could look through here and see that picture and see that it's like food. So make sure when you're doing the match game that you have a colored background and it's not a light background color. These little random fishes are from the non-standard measurement unit for math. The pictures of the fish themselves and the worksheets that the students would use to record their answers for the non-standard measurement are not next to each other. So that was always a source of confusion for me too, is like, what are these fish for? That's what they're for, non-standard measurement. And then right here we have the segmenting mat. This right now, this is the older version of it, and I still do like it. The newer version has little poppets on it. I could just put my little poppets on here and do it like that. I believe this picture is sun, whereas like this one is Vans of Atten. And then if you're doing the digital version, they would just click this and it would tell them Atten. So like this is lesson 8, and that's something that would show up on their digital dashboard, but I just prefer to do it on paper because then they're getting the practice of saying the sounds themselves if they are verbal. If they're not verbal, then go ahead and do the digital version. This is a shape matching activity. I went ahead and made it a Velcro because I have a student that's working on one-to-one matching with Velcro materials. So like as an IEP goal, this was very helpful for him. 95% of my students will never use this, but just for that one student, I made it for him. This one, you might be thinking, what is up with all these animals? This is about environments, I believe, and so you show them like the ocean, and then they would pick which animals go in the ocean, and then they would match them, put it on there. Which animals go in the woods? Which animals go in the desert? Which animals live in the grasslands? And this one I like doing better with Velcro because a lot of them, the pictures of the animals in the page of like the jungle are just really hard to navigate, and it's much easier if you have students that have fine motor concerns to just do it on Velcro and paper and just reuse it over and over and over. And if you really wanted to, you could make a craft out of it too. You could print it out and the students could cut and glue on there. Here's part of the Venn diagram. If you look at the printable version, there's one that you can get them both on the same page, or you can do separate, and I definitely prefer to have them on separate just because the pictures then are bigger. If they're on the same page, there's a couple, especially like the holiday units in the December, where there's like 20 pictures for each circle, and it's very hard to do so. One thing is if you're using Velcro dots like I am, like this, the students can just count and see like how many Velcros do I have left to get the correct one on the picture. Whereas in earlier units, I had the strips of Velcro, which were my own money, but then that way the students could just count and see how many pictures they needed. However, my district buys the Velcro dots, and so if the district's buying the dots, I'm using the dots. And then here we have the books, so I always print the books. 2 pages per sheet for the level A, B, C, D readers. And then this is the level C, which is the adaptive version. So if I am printing the adaptive version, which has the pictures that you can match, so then I do the full size, just so it's easier and pictures are bigger for the student if they're picking off this last page. So then like here's the double A. Rabbit. And then here's the A. So you'll notice I have the A, I have the double A, I have the C. Finish the pattern. What comes next? I had a student that was struggling with AB, 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 or ABC, ABC patterns, and so I did make this a Velcro activity. Otherwise, I have students that do this digitally. It really just depends what you want to do for your students. Just random shark. I know the animals that live in the woods. Retell the key details from the text. So that's using one of the leveled readers to then retell what the text is. Also have a student retell it verbally if you liked. Again, they have this digitally. It's just so much easier for me to do it on paper. We have a better conversation than them just randomly clicking and moving things around. If you ever find yourself printing things out and you don't know what it goes to, you'll notice that on the bottom it always says what unit it is and what level it is. So I've definitely had moments where I've got random pieces sitting around and I don't know what unit it goes to, so it's a kind of a lifesaver that that's there. But that also means that if I'm printing things out and I'm cutting the pictures out, a lot of the times the pictures get lost. So keep in mind that if you're cutting the small things out of the big paper, this isn't going to be there anymore, and you're going to lose what lesson and what unit it goes to. This one's animal habitats at the zoo, and so that goes with the level E, which is the, like, they call it like an easy reader. It's not really a level text. I've only had one student that could decode this enough to do it independently. Most of the time it's just a full group activity and it's me doing the reading, and sometimes I'll stop and I'll ask like, what's this word, if I know the student is able to decode that word for me or tell me that sight word. So there's different activities that go with different books. Like this activity doesn't go with this one. It only goes with this one. There's also a lot of vocabulary and prefixes and suffixes and stuff that go with each unit, and so I personally like to print these out, and I will do them at a random time during the day. Most of the time when I'm doing their intensive reading intervention, if I do have students that are verbal, I'm usually using a mix of Sound Partners Foundations and Reading Mastery to work on their reading fluency, or at this level, sometimes it's just letter identification and letter sounds. But in any case, I make sure to do these every single day too. Depending on the students, you can cover up the answers or the pictures, so they have just one to choose from, or maybe they have to look at the words if they can read. Just depends on the student. Unique Learning System also comes with a craft. So one thing is, in the beginning, I had a separate binder for crafts and a separate binder for the recipes, and so then every time I was doing a good recipe that I wanted to keep, I would put it in the recipe binder, and if I didn't like the recipe, I threw it away. So like for this one, I don't have the recipe in this pile, which means that I just threw it away because I didn't like it. But now that I'm going to be doing it again soon, I don't have it. I'm going to have to print it again. So something that I wish I would have just kept it and tried it, even if the kids didn't like it, knowing that that recipe is going to show up again. Another thing I always print is the spatial directions. The students can do the actual work, like put the dog treat on the desk. Most of my students can use their mouse, click the dog treat, drag it to put it on the desk. But the directions and the actual picture that has like the desk and the dog treats and the chairs are on separate pages. So they have to remember, put the dog treat on the chair, push next, then they have to click to put the dog treat on the chair. Sometimes they're not listening to the directions, or I'm not paying attention and I've missed the directions. I think it's just silly that the directions and the picture aren't on the same page. So I always just have a print off of the directions. The craft for that month is a paper bag octopus, and again, there should be a science experiment in here, but there's not. So that means I didn't like it. Also, lesson 15, which usually is a book that is not in the Unique Learning System library. You have to either look for it on YouTube or find it on Amazon. It's just another book that goes with the theme. So this one is called No Place Like Home. So I bought the hardcover version of it because my library didn't have it and I didn't like the voice on YouTube. So I have the materials that go with it, and then I have the actual book. So just another piece of material that goes with it. I've gotten this question before when people are asking about like how many books go with the lesson. In theory, you've got the 3 little readers, right? So you've got like usually an A, double A, or a B, and then you've got the C. So that's 3, right, of the same book. Then you've got the level E, which is something related to the book, like Omar Goes to the Zoo. It's related to the habitats, but it's not the same as the level book. And then you've got another book, so the 5th book, which is related to it, but the students aren't expected to read it. That's the teacher reading it to them and participating and doing the activities. But if you think about it, just having 5 little books for an entire month is not enough reading. So I definitely recommend that you have something else in mind that you're going to do instead of just having just 5 books to rely on, because that gets boring really quick. Okay, so that's generally what's in the pouch. Different units have different things, just depending on what the laminating situation was or what I was working on that month, or what did I send home? Did someone rip something? Did they eat it? And all this is just the Velcro laminate portions. None of this is the student copies. So I don't have any of the non-standard measurement pages. I don't have any of the writing. I don't have any of the spelling lists. Like that stuff that I'm going to print off every single month. Put this away real quick. So then everything I need for the Unique Learning System will be in these bins, which will be going right there. This lesson 8 rhyming is not supported in the newest version of Everway/Unique Learning System, but I still really like the pictures and I love the little decodable books. And I have at least 2 years worth of it. When I get to Unit 3, I'll take this out, I'll find the book that goes with it, and I'll stick it in there, even though it doesn't have it supported on the digital version anymore. Letter tracing. Every single unit, there's like 5 different letters that they choose. I just pick them out every unit and we use them, so they're in alphabetical order, A through Z. Line tracing is literally just different lines and patterns that the students trace. It is not from the Unique Learning System, but I do it at the same time as the letter tracing. So first they trace the letter of the day, and then they'll do like the line that I've selected for them. And then these 2, the Unique Learning System vocabulary, is all of the vocabulary words in alphabetical order. I started out printing them individually, and then each vocabulary, 12 vocabulary words would be in that pouch with the unit. And then I realized that animal was in like every single month, and it would just make more sense to have it alphabetically. So now I just have to pull out the vocabulary and find the ones that I need. These CVCs are not supported in the new version either. I don't go with the exact, like this is Unit 6. I'll just flip through here when I have time and have the student practice their decoding skills. That's printed 2 pages per sheet. That's why it's like a mini version. And then here's the lesson 18 sort. So when I get around to Unit 7, I'm going to take it out of here and it'll go in the pouch that it needs to go in, but for now it's all just gonna sit on this bottom. So like anything that's missing a craft, the make the sentences true in the Unique Learning System recipes, when I get to the unit I'm gonna take it out of the binder and it's gonna go in there so that it's easier for me to reset my Unique Learning System board. So then every single unit, I'm just taking up my pouch, I'm filling up my board. I'm printing anything that's a black and white copy for the students. So like their spelling list, any of the standard measurement papers. I like to do some of these retail details and pattern books. I'll do a black and white copy as well, so they can do Velcro first and then black and white copy second. And then that way, every single unit, I'm just pulling up my letter, tracing with my line that I'll pick for them. I just find the vocabulary words, and then also the word wall. So all the words for the word wall for the unit, I just store right here, and we just cover that during morning calendar. So now anything I need for the unique learning system, when I've gotten it out of those binders, it'll just be in this plus the word wall. So that is how I organize the unique learning system materials. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, or if you want to have like an in-depth conversation, you can find me on Instagram, same username. I'm chronically online. I like having conversations, so if you want to talk unique learning system, just find me on Instagram and we can have a conversation there too. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.